Hello, my name is Mederic and this is a message from Med. Last week, Med and I discussed the 19th chapter of 1 Samuel. Despite Jonathan's efforts, Saul again tries to kill David, but David was able to escape with the help of his wife and the Lord's prophets. In this chapter, David meets with Jonathan again. Will Jonathan be able to dissuade Saul from his evil ways?
After spending some time with Samuel, David returned to the palace and met with Jonathan because he wanted to know why Saul wanted to kill him. Jonathan was surprised that his father had not told him of his plan to kill David, but David reminded him that Saul probably didn't tell him because Saul knew that he and David were close friends. Jonathan told David that he would help him, so David told him that he would not attend the feast of the new moon. At the end of each month, the Israelites offered an atonement sacrifice to God and had a feast. David told Jonathan that if Saul asked why he was not present, to tell him that he had gone to Bethlehem to attend a yearly sacrifice with his family. If Saul received the news without becoming angry, they would know that David would be safe. But if he did become angry, then they would know that Saul wanted to kill him. Furthermore, David told Jonathan that if he had done anything wrong, that he wanted Jonathan to be the one to strike him down. Jonathan declared that he would not harm David. Moreover, Jonathan made a pact with David that day. "If I am still alive, show me the steadfast love for my house forever, when the Lord cuts off every one of the enemies of David from the face of the earth." Jonathan understood that if Saul was determined to kill David, God would protect David because he was God's anointed. Therefore, he asked David to be merciful to his family. Jonathan devised a plan to warn David without Saul finding out. On the third day of the feast of the new moon, David would return to the camp where they had met. Jonathan would shoot 3 arrows and send a servant to retrieve them. If Jonathan said, "Look, the arrows are on this side of you, take them," it would mean that David's life was not in danger. But if Jonathan said, "Look, the arrows are beyond you," David would have to escape. On the first day of the feast, Saul did not say anything regarding David's absence because he thought that David may have been unclean. One was required to be pure in order to attend a feast, so if a person touched a corpse or someone or something else that was impure, that person would have to wait until the next day to attend the feast. The second day of the feast, Saul asked Jonathan the whereabouts of the son of Jesse. By calling David the son of Jesse, Saul was not recognizing neither his name nor his relation to him as his son-in-law. Jonathan replied saying that David had asked to go to Bethlehem to offer the sacrifice there. Saul became very angry and said, "You son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do I not know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own shame, and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? For as long as the son of Jesse lives on earth, neither you nor your kingdom shall be established. Therefore, send and bring him to me, for he shall surely die." Here we can confirm that Saul truly thought that he could change God's plan by killing David. Jonathan asked his father why David deserved to die, but Saul hurled his spear toward him as he had done with David. In that moment, Jonathan rose from the table without having eaten because he grieved for David, and he was disgraced by his father. Jonathan went on the third day to shoot arrows as he had agreed to with David, and he told his servant, "Is not the arrow beyond you? Hurry, be quick, do not stay." Jonathan then sent his servant away and met again with David to say goodbye, possibly for the last time, and said, "Go in peace, because we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, 'The Lord shall be between me and you, and between my offspring and your offspring forever.'"
When David went to Jonathan after narrowly escaping Saul, he said, "Whatever you say, I will do for you." When someone asks for help, it is good to pray for them, but it is also important to find out how we can meet their needs. In his letter to the church, James says, "What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works?" He then gives an example. If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, be warmed and filled," without giving them things needed for the body, what good is that? What we can see in the ministries of Jesus and the apostles is that the miracles occurred when they sought to meet the needs of others. On one occasion, Jesus was healing the sick and saw that the people continued to follow him even as it was getting late. So he told the disciples to feed them. The disciples were stunned because they only had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. But Jesus took the food, blessed it, and there was enough for everyone to eat. When Peter and John were going to the temple one day, they saw a man who could not walk, and since they could not give him money, God miraculously healed him so that he could work and sustain himself. Finally, when Paul went to Ephesus, he was there for 2 years teaching the disciples, but he also sought to meet the needs of the people. Therefore, God did extraordinary miracles by the hands of Paul, so that even handkerchiefs or aprons that had touched his skin were carried away to the sick, and their diseases left them, and the evil spirits came out of them. The friendship between David and Jonathan teaches us the importance of having healthy and stable friendships. David was going through a tough time in his life, but he knew that he could count on Jonathan and went to him to seek help. Solomon knew of this example and wrote the following in the book of Ecclesiastes. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, 2 will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. If we fight together to meet the needs of our neighbor, God will help us during our times of need. Thank you. God bless.